Hey everyone, Bill Lethman here for the Financial Advisors Lab. One of the questions that I get asked all the time is, how do you get your videos approved through your firm's compliance department? So if you're like me, where you have somebody that needs to approve your videos before they go up on your website or your YouTube channel or your Facebook page, in this video, I'm going to give you a couple of tips that I've learned having done videos, I guess, for about the last 6 or 7 years, and a couple of tips and strategies for how I do things and some things to kind of avoid that your compliance department may have some potential issues with. So the first thing, I want to just give you a little background story on how we first started doing this. So when I first started doing videos, I would actually write a script and I would write out every single word that I was going to say. And for me, that's not the type of person that I am. I like to speak more than I like to write, and it was really difficult for me to write in a way that I thought I was going to want to speak when I came on to do the video. But that's the way I kind of thought I had to do it. So I would spend a lot of time kind of writing this out, the whole script, word for word. I would send it off to our compliance department. They would then kind of look through, scrutinize it all. And as they're looking at that, it's very difficult for them to kind of get the context or maybe even your tonality of how you're going to be presenting that information. And so those scripts tended, maybe it was just because we were early and we were kind of learning this process, but those scripts tended to get pretty marked up with a lot of red marks and things that we had to delete or change up with the way we were doing it. And we did it that way for a couple of years. The other thing I didn't like about that was once that script came back approved, sometimes the way they worded it was now a little funky, and it was really hard to kind of get through that and say that and make it sound natural. Plus, of course, I had to read it from a teleprompter, because if I changed anything from that original script, it would then have to go back to our compliance department for approval. Somewhere along the line, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I just decided I had a couple ideas for some videos. I decided to write down a couple of quick notes and just film the video. And I knew it was going to have to go to the compliance department. I said, let's just film 2 or 3 videos. We sent them up to compliance. They came back, surprisingly, with no revisions. I think maybe we had to put a couple of disclosures at the end of it, but other than that, they got approved. So we decided to do a couple more, and a couple more, and a couple more. And now that's our primary way of doing these videos, is we just film something and send it up to compliance, and every once in a while we have to put some disclosures up on the screen, or every once in a while we have to delete something or redo or do a reshoot. That's very, very seldom. But a couple of things that kind of have in the past caused our compliance department to kind of flag them or say we needed to not use the video altogether or delete a section. One of those are client testimonials. So as you know, in the business, you can't kind of talk about a client's experience and say, hey, we had a client that benefited from this particular investment or this particular strategy. You just can't do that. And so a couple of times we did that kind of inadvertently. Sometimes I didn't even realize that it was a testimonial. Now we've gotten a little bit better. I think it happened once or twice where I was just talking about a story of a client retiring, and we made it sound too positive of an event for the compliance department, so we had to take that out. Number 2 is you want your stuff to be accurate, and this goes without saying, but if you're talking about tax rates, or you're talking about percentages or facts, and if you maybe source something and say, hey, I'm citing a statistic there, you need to have the source of where you saw that from. Hey, we got this from the Wall Street Journal, and this is the way this statistic was. So you want to be very accurate with that. If you're talking about deductions or any tax rules and things like that, you want to make sure that you're completely factual with that. Goes without saying. Also, being overly promissory. So we say, even things like, hey, we help clients plan for a great retirement. Something like that is even something that usually completely eliminated from compliance there. We can't do that. So anything that's kind of overly promissory in that way, again, you might have to put some disclosures on your screen there. The other one too is things like dollar signs, money bag, pots of gold, charts that go only in upward direction. Those are things that you can't use, at least in our compliance department, as we're doing these videos. And then of course, specific details about investments. So we don't ever mention a particular mutual fund or investment. That gets into a whole other thing. We just don't do it at all. We'll talk in generalities, talking about maybe different types of investments or different categories of investments, but you don't want to make a video talking specifically about a mutual fund that you like. Hey, we love this mutual fund, and here's all about it. It kind of goes into a whole other category. You're probably not going to get that approved, so kind of stay away from that. And then also too, the last thing is you want things to be fair and balanced. So a great example of that is when you're talking about 401k rollovers, and so if you talk about positives, you also need to talk about negatives. If you're talking about annuities, you want to make sure you're hitting on both sides of that, not having a purely one-sided discussion about a particular topic or investment, so that it's leading somebody to just thinking that there's only one decision, and that's to do this. So you want to be fair and balanced with that. And so anyway, I hope those were a couple of tips there. But again, just if you haven't started making videos, I would highly encourage you just to start. You don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment to get started making videos. If you have a phone, an iPhone or an Android phone, if it's not more than like 2 or 3 years old, you probably have a great camera right there. And one thing I would recommend is getting a microphone, so you get one that plugs in. I think those can be under $100 for sure, maybe $50, $60 for a plug-in microphone that will go into your phone. You want your audio to sound really well. People will put up with bad video quality, but people will not watch a video where they can't hear or understand you. So microphone's very important. And then the other thing too is lighting. So you don't have to get all fancy. We have a studio where, over the years we've evolved that studio. We've got some pretty fancy lights and things, but you can buy a little cheap light, again, $50 or $100, go to, Amazon or something and look for video lighting. And you just want something that's going to, light up your face, don't have any dark shadows or look like you're standing in a tunnel or anything like that. You want to be visible. But anyway, if you haven't made the videos, go out and get started. Your first ones, I can tell you, are not going to be great. You go back all the way through the early stages of our YouTube channel. They're not great either, and so we've evolved. I think we've gotten much better with the videos, but just like the Nike slogan says, just do it. Just get out there and start making some videos. Continue to watch our channel here. We're going to continue to give you some great ideas, and hopefully you'll benefit from those. And again, kind of talked about it in one of our last videos, but we've got some great things we're working on. And so continue to check back here, and we'll let you know when those great things are coming. So we'll see you back in our next video. Thanks.